If you want to be forever stuck in the cycle of porn addiction, of masturbation, of low energy, of low motivation, of guilt, shame, boredom, loneliness, if that is a cycle that you want to continuously be stuck in, of missed potential, of not seeing who you could be and what you could achieve, then just click off this video. Go away. Just go find something else to watch, my friend. Just go find something else to waste your time with. Because in this video or in this episode, we're about to get a bit more serious. And if you're still here, it means that you want to change. You want to see something flourish. You want to get out of this shell that you've continuously been in. And for that, I want to say, welcome. Welcome to Strive a Man's podcast, where our mission is simple and clear: to build the next generation of men the world desperately, and I mean desperately, needs. And I'm your host, Longat here. In this episode, we're going to be, this is a two-part episode actually, two-part episode series, where we're going to be diving into how you can be able to overcome, number one, your porn addiction, and number two, conquer the battle of lust. Also want to come and just raise my hands and say, I am no expert. What I'm sharing is my own experience, what I've learned, and also 2 weeks of intensive research. I knew I wanted to make this video right after I came out of drama festivals. I had the opportunity to play in the drama festivals for my university. They invited me and I was like, hey, yeah, can you try this? And I was like super honored to do some great work with some great people. So the national level at Nakuru, the Butera Girls thingy, for those who know, yeah, I was there, but I wasn't there to do it, to witness it, but I was there in Nakuru and it was absolutely fantastic. So anyways, I knew I wanted to make this video and I started researching about it within 2 weeks. The moment I started, so it's around 2 weeks and some few days, like 4 days around there. So before we start, I want to urge everyone who is watching this video right now or this episode on Spotify, wherever you're watching this episode, if you have a piece of advice that you can share with anyone that can uplift their spirits, to anyone who is struggling with this issue, just go down in the comments and just write something very powerful that can uplift them and help them to overcome this issue. Not help them to overcome this issue, but just uplift them and give them hope that they can overcome this issue. You'll find mine in the comments below. Let me just set the tone for this entire episode. Number one, if I started off this video a bit harsh, I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is no place. This is a very safe place. Number one, Strive a Man's podcast is where we discuss issues that modern day young men are facing. So this is a safe place. Sorry, and I have no intention on judging you or shaming you because I know firsthand how it feels to be in the same situation. So, with that in mind, I want to pose a very serious question. Why do you think it's so hard to break the cycle of porn addiction? Why is it hard to break that cycle of sexual content? Why is it very hard? Just go in the comments and just share your opinions. Don't be shy. And if I say something that is contradictory to what is truth or what you know to be truth, just go in the comments and just share with it. I accept everything. We'll go down the comments and just share. This episode is about just sharing and sharing in between us. So here's my take on it. Here's why I think it's super hard to break out of that cycle. The reason is people don't know how to handle the guilt, the shame, the loneliness that comes after you watch porn or you masturbate or you do all those stuff. I really strongly feel that's the reason why it's very hard to break that cycle. So just listen to me. Let's just give me a few minutes. Maybe you're in doubt. Just give me 2 minutes or 1 minute. So here's how the cycle goes. Number one, you get triggered. After you get triggered, you go to number two. Number two is where you get this urge. And after the urge, you have to satisfy it. So you satisfy it. And that's number two. Number two is the urge. And number three is the satisfaction. Number four is now feeling the guilt, the shame, and the loneliness, the bad feeling that comes with doing that. And now after that is the repetition. You stay for a while, you vow not to do it again, and then you repeat it again. So now the real problem is not even the trigger. It's not in the trigger or even the act itself, which I believe that it's a very bad habit. It's not a good habit. But that's where the problem with most self-help videos come through. They try to help you with the symptoms, not the symptoms, but the the neck problem, that not the root problem of the issue. This is my take, so just go in the comments and just critique me if I say something which is not good. So after you do the act itself, after you act of impulse, you feel guilty, you feel shameful, you feel bad, and also, there's some feel good feeling that comes with it at first, but afterwards, it comes the guilt, the shame, the feeling bad, especially guilt and shame. That is something that is so, so terrible. And that's what happens after you do the act. You feel good. After you feel good, now you start feeling terrible after like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, or even just seconds after you do it. Now, here's the kicker. Here's something I want you to keep in mind. The brain isn't designed the way you think it's supposed to be. It's primitive writing, like it's source, not source, but it's ancient primitive writing is to help you survive. Keep that in mind. The brain is meant to help you survive. Now, when it's primitive writing or its primitive program is that it now sees this habit, this habit of watching porn, of doing the acts, it sees this habit as a way to help you survive. Now, when you feel guilty, most people go to porn when they feel guilty, when they feel shameful, when they feel bad, when they feel lonely. There's this odd feeling, that this bad feeling that most people go through. Now the brain sees that and also remembers that, hey, we usually do this bad habit and helps us feel good. Now let's go back to that habit and it will help us feel better. You get what I'm saying? So it's in its subconscious, in the subconscious, or in its primitive writing, your brain sees that this habit, and just remember, it doesn't know whether it's a good or a bad habit. It just knows that this habit helps us feel better. Okay? It helps us feel better. And after we feel bad again, we can go back to it and help us feel better. Now, we continuously repeat and repeat and repeat, and I know there are people who have gone through this hellish cycle for over, I don't know how many years, for over years. And I just want to say, just off script, bro, I understand you, and I really know what you're going through, man. I know what you're going through, and I'm here to help the best that I can. The best that I can. So let's go back to it. Let's go back to what we were talking about. So with continuous repetition, it makes it even harder to break that cycle. You have to understand that most of what you do is controlled by the subconscious, and the subconscious is just 95% of you. The 5% is the conscious, but the rest is absolutely 95% of the subconscious or the unconscious part of the brain. It controls you silently. So those programmings, which you're going to talk about in part 2 on how you can be able to unwind that, but it's so important first you know who your enemy is, so you can come back later and know how to battle him, or how to do battle with this particular enemy. So this programming now is super ingrained in your brain, and it's very hard to change it. Now it makes it hard for you to come out of that cycle, because in your brain it knows that this particular habit helps us feel good, and because you don't know how to handle your own stress and your own loneliness and your own boredom, now you go back into it, and now you feel good for a few minutes or for a few hours or for some time, and then you feel guilty about doing it. You feel guilty about doing this thing because internally, you know, in your heart, the heart and the brain are two different things. In your heart, you know it's a bad thing, but now your brain, he doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. He just knows that we do this, we survive. So that is why it's hard, according to me, to break that cycle. And again, this is a very sensitive topic. This is a topic that requires a lot more research. But I felt if I didn't make this video, I wouldn't be at peace with myself. I won't be at peace with myself. So I'm sharing things that I've learned for the past 6 months. I am a recovering person with this issue. So I want to tell anyone out there, hey, salute for reaching this far of the video. Salute for where you are. Just know it's not only you, bro. It's not only you. It's not only you. It's not only you. Me coming out should just give you, and also online should just give you a lot of courage. So that's why it's very hard to break that addiction. Just give me a minute. Talking is this cup has stayed with me in my room for a whole long while since we moved here. So yeah. So that's the reason why it's hard to break that addiction. Now, another thing I want to go into, let me just see if this thing's still recording. Yeah, it's still recording. Another thing I want to touch on is about lust. Lust is something that has gotten a very negative connotation over the years, and I want to make a very contradictory statement about lust. And I want to invite all of my Christian friends who are watching this to really critique me on this, because it might sound what I'm about to say might sound counterintuitive to the normal thing that we usually been told, but I just want to come out and say it because that's my interpretation, that's my own research and over experience of around 6 months of trying to overcome this issue. Now, okay, so lust is not a bad thing. Yes, lust is necessarily not a bad thing. The bad thing or the problem is usually you. Just don't hit the phone, don't hit me with the comment. Just take a minute to breathe. Okay, so lust in its purest form is just a biological form. Sorry, it's just a biological drive designed to help you and to ensure you survive. Number one, by survival I mean to pass genes from the first person to the next person to the next person. That's why men, especially men, they want to be with a lot of mates, because you want to leave your genes. It's not, I don't blame you, because I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I have seen an article and also a few videos talking about this. So because that's why men want they want to have multiple partners so they can pass their genes to a lot of people. That's how lions are designed, and that primitive writing, that biological writing in our DNA, that's how we are. That's how men. You see a man being committed to a certain, wow, that is a very good man. So lust is necessarily not a bad thing. The bad thing is lack of control of it. You are the problem. You, my friend, are the problem. Just think of it like this. So when you act out of lust without self-control, it becomes destructive. And that's where the real issue lies, the lack of control of it. Now, I want you to think of it like this. So first thing, sex is not a bad thing. Sex is necessarily not a bad thing. And if anyone tells you sex is a bad thing, that is just this is just a stupid person. That person is stupid. But sex is necessarily not a bad thing. But it becomes a bad thing when it's pursued outside of the written context. I'm a Christian, and I know you should wait before marriage, but I am no saint, if you know what I mean by that. I am no saint, but that's where I'm heading towards. I am not struggling, but pursuing righteousness. So when sex is taken out of the right context, that's why it becomes wrong. That's when it's pursued, when it's pursued impulsively, without boundaries, not within the correct context, that's when it becomes dangerous. But lust is not a bad thing. Lust, as I've said, it requires a lot of self-control. And even just sit back and be laid and relax. So lust is required to a very strong degree. Number one, for gentlemen, for you to see a fine lady as worthy to approach, you have to lust after her. You have to be sexually attracted to this person in order to approach them. You can't love someone in first sight. That's just stupid. I don't believe that you fall in love with someone at first sight. No, you just get attracted to them to a strong degree, and that attraction is just lust in its purest form. So, in order to approach someone for a relationship, not a sexual relationship, the part where it goes wrong is when you pursue just a relationship just for the sexual gratification. That's where lust becomes wrong. But when it's required for you just to make the first move in order to get a fine lady, because ladies out here are very fine, gentlemen, wink, wink. Yeah, and also, yeah, as we've said, it's required for sexual attraction, so you can be able to make the first move in generating a conversation with a fine lady, because you want a girl, but you can't go for a lady who you're not sexually attracted to. So that's the first thing. Also, in a long-term relationship, there are two things which are required. A long-term relationship, like from 21 now to the time you're 29, getting married, there's this thing that is called love, which is required, the emotional connection. And love is just the emotional connection where you connected this particular person to a very strong degree, and that is the most important part. That's what lasts relationships. But there also needs to be some touch, some some pinch, not even some pinch, a whole level of sexual attraction, or you have to lust after your partner. Honestly, do you expect me to believe that you can stay with someone who you're not sexually attracted to? So you see my point. A long-term relationship requires some level of sexual attraction to this particular partner for it to last. Also, in order for you to go to a particular person and attract them for a long-term relationship, you have to lust after them. Not just when people hear lust, they just hear naked, they hear naked. That's a uneducated mind. Although even the Bible says lustfulness, I believe they talk about the mindset that people have, this mindset of lustfulness, of sexual immorality. So basically, the problem isn't you. The problem isn't lust itself, it's the lack of control of it. We have to remember that there's this story quote that always says, you have power over your own mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. So you control, no matter what the biological drivings, no matter anything that happens out there, you have to remember you have the power to choose, you have the power to act. So make sure you always remember the power is within your hands. You can do absolutely anything that you want, regardless of the circumstances which are facing you. Hey, quick word of advice. If personal development is something that you want to focus on, if you want to really focus on your personal development, I think subscribing to this channel will be one of the best decisions that you make this particular year. I am aiming for a very big number by June, by my birthday. By June 12th, I want to have achieved 1k subscribers. Yeah, it's an ambitious goal, but I want to achieve 1k subscribers by June 12th. That will be my birthday present to myself. So I want to really work hard for it. And if you can gift me that, I'll really appreciate it. And also you can go over to Spotify if you're going to work, if you're going anywhere. I usually release every episode by 5 a.m. Monday, so you can start your week with focus, drive, and also purpose. Strive a Man's Podcast is the name of the podcast. Thank you to the current subscribers. You guys mean a lot. The last video brought in a whole lot of numbers, some very big numbers according to me. The one with the biggest, but some very big numbers according to me. You've commented and you've shared your thoughts, and I'm really appreciative of that. So the current subscribers, thank you, man. And also to those who are thinking about subscribing to the channel, man, I have a lot planned for you guys, a lot of things planned for you guys, a whole Discord channel, just me and you guys having a lot of fun. I've just spilled the beans, but wow, it will be just so epic. So with that in mind, thank you very much. Let's get back into the video in 3, 2, 1. Earlier on, around April there, I watched a certain documentary, a Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma, which highlights majorly the issues or the problem or the impact that social media has had in people's lives. But there's a particular area in that documentary that really stuck with me, something that really stuck with me, and that is how normal life, not just for me, but for everyone that I was seeing in that particular documentary, normal life became absolutely boring. The things that once brought me joy no longer served me in such a way. They no longer motivated me. For example, taking a walk, running, talking to people. I love talking to people. If anyone is seeing this and we have interacted, man, you are just a great person. I have had a blast talking to everyone. Everyone I've talked to is just a very great person. Also, working out. Absolutely the most monumental, biggest thing that I had to do over those 6 months. It drained the living life out of me. I never found joy. I was never motivated to do any of those things. And I really blame the addictions and also the overstimulation that I had in my own life, brought about by social media and also pornography and also all that stuff that really drained my focus and my drive. First thing I want just to say, it was a very bad season, not very good at all, and overcoming it was a bit hard. But now, damn, I wake up every day with this motivation to be able to do things. Do you know why most of the times you're not motivated? It's because of that. Your brain is not designed for such things, and I'm going to explain that in a few minutes. So the things that I've said about normal life being boring as hell, not being good, I want to believe in your own life you've seen some patterns relating to that. Huh? you've seen some patterns relating to that. So you just go down in the comments and just tell me about that. Tell me about your own experience. Tell me about your own experience. And if you can go and watch that documentary, I highly recommend. So this phenomenon, I coined it as the dopamine trap. It sounded smart in my head. Yeah, the dopamine trap. So basically, the dopamine trap is where your life is majorly driven or motivated to get stimulated, which normal life cannot provide. Normal life is not for stimulation. Normal life is designed for delayed gratification. So most people's lives right now are just basically constructed around this habit. 4 hours on TikTok and going incognito 4 times in a span of 2 hours. That's the norm. It's absolutely scary. And there are people who go through worse than that. There are people who go through worse than that. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. So that's the norm. You have to understand that your brain isn't really designed for such kinds of stimulation. It's not meant to handle such kinds of or such levels of stimulation. Also, it's not meant to receive stimulation from such areas. The dopamine, not the dopamine, but the social dilemma, the documentary, there's a certain expert who speaks about how this algorithm has been able to tap into this particular area of the brain to be able to trigger those brain receptors that release dopamine. It cannot camouflages. It pretends to be such kind of an achievement. It triggers those receptors by its own design. It's designed to trigger those brain receptors. I can't explain it that the expert did. I just highly encourage that you go to that person, no, go to that documentary and just watch it. Just give it the time of day and watch it. It's not that long, it is 1 hour, 20 minutes or so. The algorithm is designed to tap into those brain receptors to release dopamine. That's why you keep on coming back, and that's what I'm going to come to in just right now. So your brain isn't designed to handle such kind of the huge amount of stimulation. Also, it's not designed to receive stimulation in those particular areas, and then over time, your brain gets flooded with dopamine. It gets flooded with this dopamine receptor, and also the brain receptors responsible for releasing dopamine, they get fried. And also, as a result, the prefrontal cortex, which is just part of the brain that is responsible for logical reasoning, also for self-control, decision making, it gets weaker and weaker as you continue to stimulate your brain with 4 hours of TikTok, or even going incognito the fifth time in the span of 2 hours. It gets weaker and weaker. Now, the limbic system, which is part of the brain which is responsible for emotions and urges, it now takes over. Now you find yourself acting out of impulse instead of making logical decisions. Most of the time, you're emotional. So those are some of the issues or the effects that come about overstimulation. Also, another thing, with the brain receptors which are responsible for releasing dopamine being fried at this particular point, you will need more and more and more aggressive videos, and also a lot more time on screen in order to be able to stimulate yourself to that degree of releasing dopamine so you can be stimulated. And that's how the cycle goes on and on and on. Now, I think I've done justice to shed light into this situation that we are in right now, and I think my goal has been achieved to raise awareness about this issue. Now, the next thing is, how can we go into a sexual detox? How can the slave become its own master again? How can you stop being a slave to your own desires? How can you take back control of your own life so you can become motivated again? So the things that you once wanted to achieve can now boost you and help you wake up the next day with some very big energy, until the point I became more free of this chain that I placed myself in. I wake up every single day with this energy and this mission in my mind, because I followed some of the strategies that I'm going to share with you in part 2. There are 3 strategies that I learned over the experience of my 6 months recovery and also 6 months improvement. The first thing that I want to share before we get into so we can end this video, is you have to starve yourself. You cannot fight sexual desires. You cannot fight lust. And I'm going to explain more about that in part 2. But just know this, when you fight lust, it's like putting coal or adding wood to the fire, to the furnace. And when you continue adding wood, when you continue fighting, it becomes a blaze. After it becomes a blaze, it becomes a freaking furnace. After a furnace, it becomes a bonfire. So You have to starve yourself. Let's just talk about that in part 2 of the series, and I just want to thank you very much for watching this episode. I'm trying to rush because the space for this camera is just about to die. Yeah, the storage is just bogus. So let's pray for a brand new awesome camera. I am recording right now with my phone, but I know by June or by after June I will get a camera. I know that for a fact because I'm praying for it. So thank you very much for watching this episode. Share it with a friend who you feel will benefit from this. And remember, if you have a great piece of advice that you can share with anyone struggling with this issue and that can uplift their spirits, go down in the comments and just share it. I was yours, Long Garcia. You will find my comments, you'll find my piece of advice in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Cheers and God bless.